One man signs off on a decision that kills over 200,000 people in two cities. He defends it for the rest of his life. This is the story of President Truman and the first nuclear bomb ever used in war. Welcome to Very Human History, where the past shapes your story. My name is Sergio,
And I'm Saida.
and if you're new here, hit subscribe. Every week, we take one moment from history and turn it into something that you can use in your own life. Now, let's get into it. Sweetie, has there ever been a decision that you've made and you stayed with it longer than you expected to be with it? Am I making sense at all?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, go
You see,
ahead.
I think I have talked to you about this, but for me, up until today, I still think about it sometimes. But it has been the times that we have taken the girls to get their ears pierced. Like when we took them to get
Mm-hmm.
their earrings when they were like a few months old. You know, people have mixed feelings about it. Some say, wait until they're older, let them have their own decision on whether they want to do it or not. Some say just get it done when they're little. It's gonna hurt less, which is
Mm-hmm.
what they did to me. Like, I don't remember getting my ears pierced because I got them done when I was a newborn. But it always gets to me the fact that when you're seeing it as a parent, it's totally different. Because for me, it just didn't sit right. Like right now, I see them, they like the earrings. I cannot imagine them, at this age asking me, when I get them done if I didn't have them done before. But there's this thing that always gets to me that is that I willingly cause harm to them. Not harm,
Yeah, in a
pain,
way,
pain,
pain.
like the person who's supposed to protect them, to have them comfortable, feel comfortable. It was the same person that took them to get their ears pierced
I
and that
remember.
caused a pain because it was anesthesia, just needle and
Yeah.
you just poke it and they cry. I was actually watching the video the other day and those feelings came back like, oh my god, like like those like I'm doing this to them. And part of me kind of feels like it was wrong because they were so little. It like the point is that it came from me, from their mom, the person who should be protecting them. Like I caused that to them. And that gets to me sometimes because in my head, I'm like, did I make the right decision? Did I not make the right decision? I mean, now I see them and they're like their earrings, but you know, it's just kind of like I'm in between feelings. I don't know if you felt like that
As
when
a,
you were there. We were there too.
as a woman, you guys in general, women tend to be very protective. They want to avoid as much as they can
Yes.
to inflict any kind of pain.
Hmm.
As opposed to me, I am a little bit more pro pain. It sounds more like the propane gas, but I am more pro pain because I really think pain really allows you to grow. It's the only thing that will allow you to grow. There is no way to be uncomfortable and also grow.
I
Sorry,
mean,
to be comfortable and grow. You either have to be uncomfortable and grow or comfortable and there is no growth. But related to the episode for today, this is a continuation of, in a way, the conversation that we had the other day about Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
hmm
And we had a little bit of a debate regarding it, specifically specifically because this episode today marks the anniversary in this week
hmm
of the bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This week is that we are remembering this. So I thought it was a good idea. We'll see. To have this conversation today to continue that thing that we were talking about.
okay.
And something is I saw a video that made me think about how it is sometimes that we have to make decisions that are very heavy for us to do. It's very related to the episode today. And even after you make the decision, even if it's the right one, you still have that lingering heaviness within you that it relates a little bit to what you were saying.
Hmm.
The girls look pretty and everything, but
At what cost?
yes, and you still think of me wondering like, did I do the right thing? Maybe not. So today's episode is very related to that, but we're gonna do it in a different way from the perspective of President Truman,
Okay.
and I really wanna tell you about it. But before we go there, let me ask you, what happens to you after you make a decision nobody else can make for you? Truman made this call alone, on a boat, coming back from the meeting in Germany. No one else's name went on it, just his. Then he went home, back to work, back to dinner with his family. Life just kept going. But something happened to him after, something he carried and barely talked about again. You are about to hear what that was. It's July 1945. The war in Europe is over. The war in the Pacific is not. Harry Truman has been president for 3 months. Roosevelt died in April, and Truman found out about the atomic bomb the same way most of Washington did, after the fact. He is now the man who has to decide what to do with it. He is in Potsdam, Germany, meeting with Stalin and Churchill. When the news comes back from New Mexico, the test worked. The bomb is real. But before the news arrive, Truman is already dealing with a different number. His generals bring him the plan for Operation Downfall, the invasion of Japan. Two landings, one in the fall, one in the spring. Truman asked the room what it will cost. Stinson, his Secretary of War, tells him the minimum is 250,000 American dead. It could go as high as a million. Japanese casualty, on top of that, expected to run just as high. The other men in the room agree with the estimate. This is the choice sitting in front of Truman before the bomb is even a real option. Two paths. Send hundreds thousands of American soldiers onto the beaches of Japan, or find another way to end it. The test has a name, Trinity. It happens in the desert outside of Alamogordo, New Mexico. Only a small circle of people even know it's happening. It is the first atomic bomb ever to be detonated, and it goes off exactly the way scientists hoped. He writes in his diary that night about what he saw on the way to Potsdam. Berlin flattened, refugees walking roads with nowhere to go. He thinks about Babylon, Nineveh, Rome, every empire that came before this one. And now there is a new number on the table. And the war could be over before a single American soldier steps onto a Japanese beach. Truman does not make this decision alone, in a room by himself. He has generals, he has advisors, but the final call, whether to use it, when, and where, belongs to him. Nobody else's name goes on that order. He has the numbers. Two roads, one decision. He picks up his pen. On July 26, the Allies sent Japan an ultimatum: surrender now unconditionally or face, in the words of the declaration, prompt and utter destruction. Japan's prime minister responds 2 days later. He uses a word that gets translated different ways. Some read it as no comment, others as not worthy of notice. Either way, the meaning lands the same way in Washington. Japan is not surrendering. Truman is on a ship crossing the Atlantic, heading home from Potsdam when the final decision gets made. Before that moment, he writes something down. He wants the target to be military, not a city center, not women and children. He tells Stinson directly that even if the war has turned brutal on both sides, he does not want this weapon aimed at civilians on purpose. He asks Stinson which sites in Japan are tied to the war production. Stinson names several. Hiroshima is on the list, so is Nagasaki. There is no single piece of paper where Truman writes, "Yes, drop the bomb." What exists instead is a series of orders, memos, and decisions that all move in the same direction, starting days earlier with instructions to the Air Force to prepare, and ending with Truman's own account years later that the final decision was his, made crossing the ocean after the ultimatum was rejected. The order goes out. The target, Hiroshima first. 4,000 miles away, on the island of Titian, a B-29 crew is already being briefed on the mission they don't fully understand yet. August 6, 1945. Just after 2 a.m., a B-29 named Enola Gay takes off from Titian. Ahead of it, by about 2 hours, a separate plane is in the air. A weather scout, checking the skies over the target cities so the crew behind them will know where visibility is clear. The report comes back. Hiroshima is clear. The mission is a go. At 8:15 a.m. local time, the Enola Gay releases its payload over the city. The bomb is called Little Boy. It detonates in the air above the city, roughly 43 seconds after release. In an instant, tens of thousands of people are killed. Buildings within a mile and a half of the blast are flattened or burned. The heat is intense enough to leave shadows of people burned into stone, in the exact position they were standing. By the end of the year, the death toll from the bombing, including those who died later from injuries and radiation, is estimated at around 140,000 people. 3 days pass. Japan does not surrender. On August 9th, a second bomb is loaded, headed for the second city. Truman has not yet been told it's happening this soon. Nagasaki is not the primary target that day. The city selected first is Kokura, but the cloud cover blocks the view, and the crew diverts to a secondary target instead. At 11:02 a.m., the second bomb detonates over Nagasaki. Estimates put the death toll by the end of 1945 at around 70,000 people. Truman did not expect the second bomb this soon. The military had been moving on its own timeline, using the authorization already given, without checking back with him first. He gives an order: no more bombs without his direct authorization. He is having dinner with members of his cabinet, including Henry Wallace, who had been vice president under Roosevelt before Truman took the job. When the subject comes up, Wallace later writes down what Truman tells him that night: that the thought of wiping another 100,000 people, including all those kids, as Truman puts it, is too horrible to him. In the days that follow, Truman complains of headaches. When Wallace asks whether they are physical or figurative, Truman answers, both. On August 15th, Japan surrenders. The war is over. What Truman carries out with it is not. Truman leaves office in 1953. The decision follows him. For the rest of his life, he is asked about it in interviews, in letters, in public forums. He never disowns it. In a letter written the same year to a history professor named James Cade, he lays it out again, plainly. He recounts the casualty estimates he was given for the invasion. He recounts the ultimatum and Japan's rejection of it. He states, without hedging, that the final decision was his, made on the way back from Potsdam, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. He does not describe regret in that letter. He describes reasoning. the numbers, the choice, the outcome. But the headaches from August of 1945, the ones he calls both physical and figurative, he never mentions them again. Not in the letter to Kate, not in any interview, not once for the rest of his life. Harry Truman dies in 1969, 16 years after leaving the White House. He defends the decision on the record until the end. Okay, sweetie. You saw the story, you heard it. What do you think was your first reaction about it?
We had this conversation before,
Yep.
and in my opinion, it's not right. To me, it's not okay. Like, look, I get it. And when you are at war, you want to defend your side, and you do whatever you can. In this case, to protect your country, protect the
Yes.
people that live in your country. But at the same time, in war, the people always losing are the civilians, whether from one side or the other.
Right.
So, like, is there ever a winner in a war? Like,
Yes, there are winners in wars, of course.
but at what cost?
Yeah, but that's a different question, right? It's not whether it costs or not. It's whether there are winners
But no,
or
it's
not.
not like a winner, but it's like you always have each side has to lose some
Yeah,
people.
yeah. That's
And most of the time are civilians. Because
a lot of the times it is civilian. Yes.
soldiers, they signed up for it. They know what they're going for. Civilians?
Okay. Let me tell you my reactions. I don't want to get right into the debate or
Okay.
this is what I think. I think this is one of the heaviest decisions any human being ever had to face. And President Truman, he had to be in the middle of this. Like, I cannot imagine going through making the decision that you know will have a lot of collateral damage, but that based on the information that you have, you understanding this is the correct um, decision. And I think is actually inviting on your life a lot of pain as a president. Obviously, presidents are only a few in any country in the world throughout history. But each one has to face a situation that is incredibly hard that no one else has to face. And I think Truman was the man of the hour, having to face the heaviest situation, I think, in history, because he had to make a split decision. He had to make a very big decision that would change a lot of life. It would change a lot of nations at the same time. It will change the nature of war as well. And I think, regardless of whether he admits it was the correct one or not, or whether it was painful or not, I think it was very heavy on him to do. And I would not, I don't know what I would do personally. You have to be the one making the decision. You have to live with the, yes, obviously the people in Japan have to go through the consequences and endure the whole thing. But at the same time, the person making the decision, they're obviously, we can never compare. They're not comparable. But if you think about what the president had to endure, living with the consequences of what that means in your own life and living with the numbers, which number would you prefer? Do you prefer the numbers where your soldiers are dying, or do you prefer the numbers of the people that in many cases a lot of innocent children, parents
We're vaporized.
were just vaporized? And obviously that's the situation that is
It's hard.
Like if I were to be in that position, having to make that decision, I would hate having to make it.
Okay, like I'm on the fence on that one because in terms of war, I understand that the casualties were gonna be far less with the bomb
Right.
than if they actually met each other and actually fight. Because
Mhm.
Japan was known to fight to the last man.
Yeah.
But this is where I don't agree. You see, when they started this whole war, there were Americans planes, B-29s, sending like flyers to different cities telling them that something was coming, that they were gonna get bombs. But that's when they were just dropping regular bombs, not the little boy that they dropped. So they were sending all these flyers, and Hiroshima wasn't one of the cities that they were sending the flyers to. So this made people to believe that Hiroshima was saved. But you know why they did not want Hiroshima? Because they didn't want to ruin that
The element of
city.
surprise.
No, not the end of the surprise, but since they had already bombarded other cities, they wanted to spare it to see how much damage little boy was gonna cause.
That's a little bit cynical. Are you sure that's true?
You can look it up. Look it up. I was looking it up, but they were saving it because this is an atomic bomb.
Hmm.
They have not dropped it in any other city, in any other place. This is something like, if you think about it, something that they have on their hands, and what better way to use it in here? So they spare Hiroshima. They didn't tell Hiroshima anything. They were telling the other cities that they actually bombed with the little bombs. They were telling us, but they were saving that city. Not only because we all know that they were also making nuclear stuff right there, but they were also sparing it from damage to see how much damage little boy was gonna cause.
Okay,
You can
that's
look
a.
it up, and then it's like, now that you think about it, like, okay, is the aspect of the war,
Let
but it
me look it
also
up.
sounds like a little experiment to see what happens, like killing a bird, no, two birds with one stone.
Yes, that is accurate. The US military deliberately spared Hiroshima along with a small number of Japanese cities from conventional firebombing raids to accurately measure the atomic bomb destruction power and psychological impact. In 1945, the US Committee created the Reserve Target List. They wanted they wanted targeted cities
Oh,
that met specific criteria.
then I remember there's one city that they were supposed to
Wow,
bomb,
that's
but
crazy.
they
Yeah.
didn't because of the weather, and then they move on to
Yes.
Hiroshima.
Yeah, no, that wasn't for
Oh,
Nagasaki.
there you go.
I think it was meant to be Kakuro or something like that.
It has
Is
a.
the
I
city?
mean, I don't know how to say the names,
Okay.
but like
Yes,
when I read this, it's like, like you said, it sounds kind of cynical because it wasn't. Yes, it was about ending the war, but it was about the experiment that they already have in hand.
yes, yes. That's true. But here's what I wanted to correct that I think I said incorrectly to address a little bit what we were talking about the other day. There is a difference between correct and good. And my what I was saying the other day was saying that it was morally good that they did that.
Yeah, I
What I
think so. Yeah.
Yes, I was saying it, and that is wrong. What I should have said then, which I understand better now, is that it was morally correct. It was the right decision to make, but it wasn't good. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It was morally correct.
Correct. Yes, correct is one thing. Is what which one is the best answer? And good is different. This is what I'm trying to say. Both decisions, like the decisions that President Truman have to make, is they're both bad in a sense.
Yes.
They're like it's bad and worse. Which one are you going to pick? Which one? They're bad. They're both bad because it's war. War is not pretty.
Yeah, it's not.
Even if the war is morally good in general, the decisions that happen inside of war are not good. You would prefer not to kill anybody. War should be the last resort, not the first one, right?
Yes.
So, given that, I understand there is a distinction between being morally correct, meaning making the right choice. I think Truman made the right choice by bombing the United States by bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, I don't think it was morally good because there was nothing good about what happened. President Truman made the right decision. I do because it was in the context of war. And I also think that even with the trying to understand the accuracy of the bomb, even trying to understand what happened, what they were trying to do was a strategy
Hmm.
within the confinements of war. Makes sense what I'm saying?
Yes, I see what you're saying.
It's within the context of war. It's not that they just went and dropped a bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Like we know about the CIA experiments like MK Ultra, for example, or we know about all the experiments that they did on the black population at some point in history. It's different because in this case they are in the middle of war and they're trying to figure out they're doing killing two birds with one stone, and even though it's very crude and hard to swallow, the primary objective is to detonate the bomb to stop the war. And something that is very important to understand also is this. Something that I found out is that they they intercepted the communications with the people in Japan, with the military and all this stuff. They did not want to surrender. When we're thinking about war and specifically battling people that believe very different than you, they have a different culture, they have different ideals, they have a different background. Usually we measure who they are based on who we are. We measure people based on how we think. For example, a good thing about a good example of this is the following. You have the people in Iran and you have the war that is going on at the moment. And we make the mistake as a society to assume that the people that we are having the fight with and the war with is people that are reasonable, that just there is just a matter of misunderstanding. When the reality is that they actually want the destruction of Western countries, Western society. That is actually within their desire. So we cannot sit down where in the agreement we don't have a base level of understanding and common ground. In this case, for the war, for example, what I would say is that the understanding in war was very different back then to how it is now with Japan. Japan, aside from being very imperialistic, they had a no surrender um, ethos or ideology or mentality that is very different to ours.
Yeah, and I
To
was reading that they United States noticed how Japan always fought to the last man.
there you go.
Like they were, it like they were one of those countries that, like you said, it was like they were not gonna surrender because they were just, and even with the battle that they had, if they didn't drop the bomb, the battle that was supposed to happen, I think it was like near the ocean or whatever.
Hmm.
They were assessing, how many people will die, and they realized that it was gonna be a lot of casualties because Japanese army will fight to the last man. It's not like they will retrieve and call it quits.
Yeah.
They will fight to whomever is standing instead.
What would you have done in the middle of if you were to make this decision? What would you have done?
I'm gonna give you my honest
That's
answer,
okay. That's what I'm
not
looking for.
intelligent answer.
Don't say that.
Amor, you dropped the first bomb. They're getting invaded. You just wait and see. Why
That's
drop the
not
second one?
that's not the point. They send a community Saida, they lost hundreds like 100,000 people plus on the first one, and they're being asked to surrender, and they say no. Are we going
What
back
day
to
did they
this?
say no?
Saida, they said no. Before throwing the second one, they said no.
So within that 3-day period, they
They
just said
said
no.
no. They said no.
What if they say no the second day before they got invaded by the
Sweetie,
Soviets?
sweetie, that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say. We're trying to cram into our heads how the people in Japan thought about surrendering.
But that's not okay. Like
And
I
that I
seen
didn't say.
videos of what this bomb did, what the bombs did, and he's just like, I cannot. You know what's my thing? I don't get through my how come Japanese people don't hate the U.S. It's
Hold on,
like
give me 1 second. Let me find out something.
okay.
The transition from fierce wartime enemies to close allies is one of the most remarkable transformations in modern history. It was not a single factor, but rather a combination of cultural values, pragmatic leadership, and a structural change during the post war era that shaped this perspective. Number one, the concept of endurance, accepting the unavoidable. Japanese culture emphasizes emotional resilience. That is something that I noticed in a video that a bunch of people were asked about the what they think about the bomb,
Mm-hmm.
and if and most of the people that reacted on the video, and most of the people that reacted on the video were saying like, like almost like who cares, and saying like if we had the bomb, we would have done the same thing. And if like it's in the past, this is my kind of people. I love Japanese people. You guys are awesome. Okay, Japanese culture emphasizes emotional resilience. Phrase like "shikata ga nai," which means it cannot be helped, reflect on acceptance of reality after defeat, allowing the nation to focus its collective energy on rebuilding rather than dwelling on resentment.
And now that you say that, we see that with what was his name?
Wow.
What was his name? The guy that got the two bombs. Uh,
Sutomo Yamaguchi.
yes, because he got nuked on December 6th, and then on December, I mean on August 6th, and on by
On the
August
ninth.
8th, he was back in was it 6, 7, 8? By August 9th, he was back to work.
Yeah.
Like what? But why didn't we
That
do that to Germany?
what are you talking about?
Yeah, like we dropped bombs on
Okay.
Japan because they wouldn't
Okay.
surrender. Why didn't we do that to Germany? They wouldn't surrender
Because
either.
okay. I have an answer for that.
Okay.
I have an answer for that. Germany surrendered on May of 1945
Okay.
before they had the bomb ready, and both yes,
So they would have it ready. They would have dropped it on Germany.
maybe. But here's the point. Here's my point. Japan did not want to surrender. Let's put that into perspective. And something that I saw in a video that is very good to point out, if Japan had those bombs, would they have used it?
What will happen? That was the R, and your family members die vaporized because
But it
just
doesn't
that,
matter.
just
It
ash.
look,
We used to say,
you are
yeah, that
bringing a
was
sub
okay on their part because we would have
you
done
are
the same
bringing a
thing.
subject. That's the thing. I think that you're making an emotional appeal.
But it's both, Sergio.
But hold on, I'm not saying it's not both. What I'm saying is, when it comes to war, this is the nature of war. People are going to die.
Civilians.
If the
Civilians.
yes, Saida, that's what it is. That's the nature of war. How many people died during Pearl Harbor?
That I don't know.
Why
Probably a
don't we ask the
lot.
people?
Probably a lot.
Oh, look, I have a hole in one of my shirts. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing.
Okay.
But anyway, let's move on because I think we agree. Again,
Like, okay, we got along with Japan now. Like, why not say, sorry that we killed those people like then, like it was wrong, but it was necessary type of thing.
I think I think I think there is a misunderstanding about what the nature of war is. It's not good.
No,
It's
I never
not
said
play.
it. No, I never
Okay,
said it was
but
good. Because
like
like I
if
said,
it
in nature war, I
it just
understand.
it
But it
assumes
was
it look
wrong.
look
Right decision in
it
terms of
assumes
war, but it was
listen
wrong.
listen sweetie, listen to me. It assumes that everybody has good is good. And that is not what that is.
Yeah, I
The
understand what you're
nature
saying.
of man is everybody is bad. This is the world that we live in. This is who this is the situation that this is the reality of the world. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going to die that should not die. And a lot of people that are innocent will lose their life, especially during war. Before we go, we want to recognize and to remember all the people that died during the war between America and Japan and recognize that the bombing was incredibly difficult for the nation. But at the same time, I recognize and understand that Japan is an incredible country with an amazing culture that has now risen to the moment and has made life much better for its citizens. And it speaks about how resilient the Japanese culture is.
These people did not deserve what happened to them
Hmm.
because they didn't deserve that. But I think in a way, like you said, it's a war. Things like this happen in war. They shouldn't happen. But sadly, that's how our world is. Each country do what needs to get done because we can criticize America all we want, but we don't live in the other countries to see how that it's like. Thank you for watching this video. We hope to see you guys next time.
Bye bye.